Galactic Year 54291. Earth was sealed off, quarantined like a wound too deep to heal. For 3,000 years, no ship entered the Sol system. No signal left it. But today, the Varelian Concord breaks the silence. They expected ruins. What they found was smiling. "This planet smells like regret," hissed Commander Hull, her scaled tail flicking across the control deck. "Even from orbit." "Regret and overcompensation," grumbled Archivist Quen, a gelatinous mound of sentient memory packed into a metal exosuit. His voice gurgled through the translator. "Look at those cities. Symmetrical skyscrapers. Flag monuments. Humans really loved attention." The Varelian ship Diligent Mercy floated above a cracked, cloud-choked Earth. The planet spun slowly, half of it blanketed in storms, the other in shadow. The place looked dead. Felt dead. And that made everyone more curious than cautious. "This mission is purely archaeological," Quen reminded the bridge. "Recover cultural relics. Study the fall of a hyper-aggressive species. Avoid active systems. Do not touch glowing things." "Your caution is noted," Eswell replied dryly, and ignored. "Begin descent." Earth's surface. Ruined Manhattan. Ruins of steel and concrete rose from the cracked ground like broken teeth. Nature hadn't reclaimed the city. Technology had sterilized it first. The air was breathable. Too breathable. The kind of eerie stillness you find just before a trap snaps shut. Their shuttle set down with a mechanical whine. Dust curled like mist. Scanners chirped to life. "No signs of life," Quen muttered, floating forward. "But plenty of residual heat. Odd for a dead world." That's when the man stepped out of the fog. Well-dressed, clean-shaven, with a calm smile like he'd been expecting guests for tea. His voice was warm, confident, and absolutely wrong for this setting. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "Please do watch your step. Some parts of the planet bite back." Eswell's hand moved toward her sidearm. "Who are you?" He bowed. Slightly. "Ambassador Elias Hartwell. Technically. The title's ceremonial now. Would you like tea?" The crew blinked. Quen's translator popped and crackled. This planet is dead." Elias gestured politely to the ruined skyline. "As you can see, it's merely resting." "Tea." Quen rolled forward, lens irises narrowing. "How long have you been down here?" "Long enough to remember what silence costs. And long enough to recognize galactic arrogance when I see it." Swell stepped in. "Our scans showed no human activity. Your civilization is extinct." Elias smiled wider. You should really update your scanning protocols. Humans stopped broadcasting millennia ago. Too many uninvited guests." Back on the shuttle. They brought Elias aboard for questioning, against better judgment. He cooperated with eerie grace, walking like a diplomat, smiling like a trap. He accepted water, ignored food, and never stopped watching everyone with politely veiled interest. "So," Quen started, arms folded into a thinking spiral, "you've lived on a dead world for 3,000 years." "Oh no," Elias said with a chuckle. "I've been stationed here." Eswell's jaw tensed. "Stationed by whom?" Elias tapped the table. "By us, of course." Quen narrowed his eyes. "You mean humanity?" Elias nodded. "We never left." Silence fell like a dropped weapon. "You expect us to believe humans faked their extinction?" Swell asked. "I expect you to think whatever lets you sleep tonight." Deep surface scan activated. Swell ordered full surface scans. The computer hesitated. Then alarms screamed. Beneath the ruins, far beneath, structures stirred. Layers of heat signatures emerged. Not geological. Geometrical. Massive. One of the Varelian techs whispered, "That's not rock. That's armor plating." Entire cities buried in reinforced steel. More scans lit up. A global network of underground vaults. Energy signatures blooming. Quen backed away from the console. Impossible. They had no time, no resources. Elias took a sip from the tea he had brewed himself in their galley. Oh, we had time. You see, extinction is a very motivating concept. Outside, Earth awakens. The ground began to hum. Not quake. Hum. As if the planet itself had started to think again. Old satellites blinked to life in orbit. Drones swarmed through clouds like ghosts with purpose. What did you do? Syll barked. Nothing, Elias replied. You landed. You scanned. You poked around Earth's grave without permission. He stood slowly, smoothing his jacket. Didn't your kind ever learn? You don't disturb sleeping lions. And you definitely don't scan their den for relics. Final scene of chapter. The crew scrambled to understand what they'd triggered. Quen called for evacuation. Syll ordered defensive positions. The shuttle rose into low orbit, but too late. They were surrounded by signals. Not weapons. Not yet. A voice echoed through the comms. Not Elias's. Older. Colder. Human Defense Protocol 7. Perimeter breach. Response level, Apex. Elias smiled once more, calm and final. We left this planet silent for your sake. But now you've reminded us why we sharpened the knives to begin with. Lights blinked across Earth's surface. Cities, bunkers, ships, all waking like bones rearranging under skin. Elias stepped to the viewport. I'd recommend not running, he said softly. It'll only make them nostalgic. The shuttle touched down again. Cautiously this time. No jokes. No smug commentary. The Varelians were no longer explorers. They were trespassers realizing the museum was still alive. Commander Syll led the squad down, tail coiled tight, mandibles set. Her voice stayed clipped. You, human. Walk first. Elias Hartwell adjusted his jacket and stepped forward, boots crunching against scorched concrete. Always happy to host. Though I must say, forcing your guest to go first is a bit unorthodox. Quen floated behind him, his exosuit creaking. We're not interested in courtesy anymore. Elias smiled without turning. Then you're about to find out how much more dangerous we are when you're impolite. Underground access tunnel. The stairwell was clean. Too clean. Centuries of dust should have buried it, but not a single speck lay on the railings. The lights flickered once, then stabilized. Cold, sterile white. Artificial. Maintained. A soft hiss echoed ahead, then a low mechanical groan. A door opened without command. That's not supposed to happen, murmured Quen. Of course it is, Elias replied. They heard you coming before you even entered orbit. Syll raised her rifle. Who's they? The ambassador didn't answer. Inside, the corridor expanded into a wide circular chamber. Walls of metal and glass lined with pod-like chambers. Hundreds. Thousands. Each pod held a human. Not decayed. Not bones. Preserved. Armed. Armored. Eyes closed. Faces calm. Waiting. Quen's report recording. Secure file. Redacted. Beneath what we assume to be Earth's final city lies a structure older than any on record. Human architecture, yes, but it defies the decay we expected. These are not graves. These are barracks. Cryogenic chambers. Functional. Monitored. The humans are not extinct. They are dormant. Back in orbit. Diligent Mercy Bridge. Panic festered. The bridge flickered with emergency transmissions from the surface. Distorted feeds showed the vault stretching for miles. Pod after pod. Weapon racks. Data cores. One of the tech officers, young and nervous, turned pale. Sir, I just lost ping access to our fleet map. The captain spun. What does that mean? I mean, our other ships, they're still there, but I can't track them. It's like someone copied our signal and looped it. Another voice, communications are being spoofed. By who? The officer looked up. Us. Back in the vault. Swell's tail lashed as she turned to Elias. Why preserve an army like this? What were you waiting for? Elias ran a finger along a pod, tapping the reinforced glass. A young man inside, late 20s, clean buzz cut, eyes twitching behind closed lids. Extinction isn't always the end, Elias said. Sometimes it's camouflage. Sometimes it's the bait. He paused. And sometimes it's insurance. Quen floated closer to a control panel. This entire vault was meant to reactivate on our arrival. No, Elias corrected. It was meant to reactivate when someone came here thinking they were alone. A low vibration, then a voice. The chamber vibrated, subtle but rising. A low chime echoed through the vault. Then came a voice. Female. Come. Devoid of emotion. External interference detected. Soul defense grid unlocking. Phase 2 initialized. Commander class designation. Observer Prime Hartwell. Status. Active. SWL blinked. What? Observer Prime? Elias exhaled. I liked Ambassador better. Fewer responsibilities. All around them, the pods lit up. Not all. Just 10. Then 20. Then 100. Each glow was a heartbeat. Each heartbeat, a warning. Orbit. Outside the diligent Mercy. Earth shifted. That's how it felt. Not rotation. Not tectonic. But intentional. In the Pacific Ocean, waters parted unnaturally. Metal rose through vapor and steam. A shape larger than any recorded vessel. The Varelian crew stared at it in horror. Not a ship. A mobile fortress. Jagged edges. Solar sails. Still bearing the faded insignia of Earth's last fleet. Project Revenant. The object opened like a blooming flower, revealing a hangar the size of a small moon. The navigator whimpered. Sir, that's not just a carrier. It's a forge. It's manufacturing drones. Hundreds. No, thousands. Vault interior. Quen's tentacles retracted tightly. What is the objective here, Hartwell? Galactic conquest. Elias looked genuinely offended. Goodness, no. That would be exhausting. Humanity doesn't want the galaxy. He turned to the glowing pods. We just want to make sure no one else thinks they can take us again. One of the pods released a soft hiss. The figure inside stirred. SYL raised her rifle. Elias didn't blink. That would be unwise, he said softly. He doesn't like being pointed at. The pod opened. A human soldier stepped out. Quietly. No words. No weapon. Just observant eyes. Then another pod opened. And another. Alien reaction. Panic bled into calculation. Swell activated her command. We need immediate extraction. Static. Then a familiar voice answered. But not hers. Elias. Commander Aswell, your signal has been intercepted for security reasons. I recommend remaining calm. Spikes in cortisol are flagged as aggression markers. Swell dropped her calm in shock. Quen turned, voice hoarse. Why wake now? Elias folded his hands behind his back. We hoped we wouldn't have to. We really did. He stepped into the center of the room, surrounded by waking soldiers. But someone couldn't resist robbing the grave. Final lines of Chapter 2. Up above, in orbit, the Varelian fleet started locking weapons. Down below, the Earth hummed louder. The dead weren't waking in rage. They were waking with precision. Elias glanced back as alarms flashed red. I wasn't the last human, he said. He smiled faintly, then added, I was just the first one you met who was awake. Captain Relk's claws clicked against the railing. The ship's lights were dimmed, not by design, but by something unseen pressing on every system. The Forge world rising from the Pacific loomed like a ghost no one could scan. "We're being jammed by pre-spacefaring primitives," he hissed. "No, sir," his comms officer whispered. "By something smarter. Every signal we send loops back with corrections." Relk stared at the screen. It was blank, yet it pulsed faintly, as if something just behind it was watching. "Pull the fleet back. Navigation is offline." "How?" They redefined back. Earth's surface, subterranean vault. The first wave of human soldiers stood motionless, eyes open, posture relaxed, like tourists at an exhibit. But beneath the calm, there was intent. Choreographed stillness. Swell didn't breathe. Her instinct screamed. "They're scanning us." "Of course they are," Elias said gently. "They're evaluating the threat level." Quen trembled, voice low. "And if we're a threat?" Elias smiled. "Then I hope your escape pods are faster than ours used to be." From above, the dull thrum of descending drones grew louder. They weren't armed. They didn't need to be. Observation units, formed in the shape of sleek birds, floated into the chamber, their lenses tracking every alien heartbeat. Swell's voice broke through the tension. "This is an act of aggression." "No," Elias corrected. "This is a census." In orbit, galactic reinforcements arrive. 4 alien ships from the Coalition's response fleet dropped out of warp at the edge of the system. Heavy cruisers. Shields up. Weapons primed. On board, Admiral Krell of the Jundari Confederation sneered as Earth grew larger on his viewport. "Launch warning beacons. Give them one chance to surrender." "Sir, they're not responding." Krell narrowed his eyes. "Broadcast on all channels." The signal went out, loud, clear, official. Then came the reply. Not from a ship. From Earth itself. A female voice, ancient and dispassionate. "Unregistered orbital aggression detected. Galactic Article 7.9 violated. Counterforce authorized." Krell laughed. "Until the stars blinked." Back in the vault. More pods opened, smooth, synchronized, like petals unfolding. Dozens now. All soldiers. Silent. Aged no more than 30. Not one flinched. Earl took a step back. "You had a standing army under the planet." "Had is inaccurate," Elias murmured. "We are the planet now." Behind them, a wall shifted. A holographic globe of Earth hovered above a steel pedestal. It rotated slowly, glowing red in specific regions, deep sights, scattered across continents. "Subnets," Quen whispered. "There are more vaults." 12 in total, Elias confirmed. "Each one a failsafe. Each one connected." He looked up at the globe. "And each one is awake." In orbit, response fleet engages. Without warning, the new arrivals opened fire. Beam cannons, ion clusters, neutron bombs. The weapons impacted the massive Forge ship rising from the ocean. Nothing happened. Literally. The beams stopped mid-air. Just stopped. Frozen, humming, hovering in space like unfinished thoughts. Then they reversed. Snapped back into the cruisers that fired them. All 4 alien ships detonated in silent, blinding ripples. Back aboard Diligent Mercy, Captain Relk collapsed into his chair. What kind of weapon was that?" "It wasn't a weapon," whispered his engineer. "It was a mirror. Vault. Full activation." The soldiers began moving. No orders. No sounds. Just motion, clean, efficient, collective. Their armor adjusted to their bodies. Helmets formed over their heads with soft hisses. "Are you about to invade the galaxy?" Quen asked, almost pleading. Elias shook his head. What would be the point? He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "The galaxy has nothing we want. What we needed was memory, fear, silence." Eswell snarled. "Then why build all this?" Elias met her eyes. Because someone always comes to the grave. And we wanted them to leave remembering what they saw. Humor in terror. A drone floated near Quen. It scanned him, then released a pleasant chime. A holographic message popped above it. Species threat level: moderate. Combat aptitude: limited. Recommendation: caution. Disarm with kindness. Quen blinked. Disarm with kindness? Elias chuckled. You'd be amazed how many wars we ended with a smile and a knife. Another soldier walked by, nodding at Elias. Elias returned it with an easy salute. They look calm, Eswell muttered. Too calm. We don't rush anymore, Elias said softly. Rushing is for prey. Planet-wide response. Earth's surface began to shift. Not erupt, not explode. Shift. Massive panels rose from old oceans. Towers unfolded from mountainsides. The world was a machine, and the machine was stirring. Terraforming reversal? Quen guessed. No, Elias said. It's remembering what it was. In low orbit, debris fields from centuries past reassembled. Satellite husks rearranged, repaired, reignited. One of them beamed a simple message to the stars. We were never gone. We were waiting. Last scene of chapter. Elias turned toward the alien delegation, now pale and rattled. You think you understand what you awakened, but you don't, he said. He stepped aside as the hologram shifted, images of ancient battles, lost colonies, fallen fleets, all caused by humans. All redacted from galactic history. The missing wars. The silence no one dared investigate. Elias gestured to the footage. This is the part of history you left out of your records. He leaned forward. We didn't go extinct. We went off-grid. And behind him, Earth glowed. Alive. Remembering. Ready. Galactic silence had always been theoretical. A concept, like peace or extinction. But now, true silence blanketed the Sol system. Not because no one was speaking, but because no one dared to. Captain Relk stared at the sensor feeds with dry, blinking eyes. Sir, a tech whispered, all our data just vanished. How? Not deleted. Archived. Into a server that isn't ours. Relk swallowed. They're filing us? The tech nodded slowly. Yes, sir. Like paperwork. Outside the viewport, Earth no longer looked broken. It looked intentional. Every ruin now clearly part of a larger system. Pieces of armor on something sleeping under a planet's skin. Surface, vault exit ramp. Eswell walked stiffly. Her sidearm was still in its holster, but her hand hovered near it, instinct and pride wrestling for dominance. Elias walked beside her, hands in pockets, watching the emerging sun reflect across the bunker gates. It's beautiful, isn't it? He said. Ruins make for honest skylines. Honest? She snapped. You deceived the entire galaxy. Elias didn't stop. We didn't lie. We simply stopped explaining ourselves. Quen hovered behind them, silent. He wasn't afraid anymore. He was processing. Every calculation had failed. Every predictive model had collapsed. You allowed the myth of your extinction, he murmured. Not a myth, Elias said. A message. Flashback insert. Coalition Council meeting, year 1225 postfall. A projection screen shows Earth marked with a Quarantine Class Black designation. No one argues. No one investigates. No one questions why. Too quiet. Too clean. But buried in the fine print, one line, signal suppression field active. No measurable decay. Re-evaluation in 1,000 years. They ignored it. Earth watched. Orbit. Coalition panic. The Diligent Mercy received over 100 emergency pings from different species across the quadrant. Do they want help? Relk asked, dryly. No, his officer answered. They want advice. The Admiral leaned forward. Send this. Do not come. Do not scan. Do not speak. And then turn the channel off. Surface, Elias and the truth. You waited for someone to come, Eswalel said. You wanted this. Elias stopped walking. His face lost its smile, if only briefly. No. We prepared for it. He turned to face them, his voice lower now, calm like still water hiding depth. You assumed the galaxy was yours. You expanded, catalogued, judged, labeled. You walked over bones and called it progress. We knew, eventually, you'd return to the bones that frightened you most. Quen murmured, "This isn't vengeance?" Elias smiled again, gently, sadly. No. This is memory made permanent. Sky, supercarrier emergence. The ocean split with impossible symmetry. The supercarrier that rose had no name, no designation, just a purpose. From space, it resembled an open eye. And it was looking. Dozens of smaller crafts detached silently, fanning into orbit. Not attacking, observing. Some carried signals. Others, silence. One moved beside Diligent Mercy, matching its velocity exactly. It pulsed a message through light alone. You were warned. The ship shuddered. No weapon fired. But every control system reset to factory defaults. The crew screamed. Surface, Elias' final words. You asked why we built all this, Elias said, his voice almost lost in the rising wind. Swirl stared at the carrier forming a silhouette against the horizon. You weren't building weapons. No, Elias nodded. We were building context. He stepped back, letting the vault doors hiss shut behind him. We didn't want war. We wanted to be left alone. But now that you've remembered us, we'll make sure you never forget. Above Earth. Final broadcast. The Forge AI, now fully operational, activated its beacon. It sent one message. Just one. To every listening species. We are not returning. We never left. Interference with Earth will be treated as a declaration of extinction. No demands. No threats. Just a final fact. Galaxies shifted course that day. Flash scene, across the stars. A Zentari general weeps as Earth's name flashes on her command console. A forgotten AI in the Luruan belt shuts itself off upon reactivating its human encounter logs. A child on a distant moon looks up at her father. What's Earth? She asks. He replies, voice hollow, the reason we stopped digging. Elias, alone once more. He stood at the edge of the bunker ramp, watching the sun rise over a planet that had finally spoken. The vault closed behind him with a low hiss. The soldiers were gone, back underground. They weren't meant to stay awake long. He wasn't smiling now. He was remembering. A quiet Earth. A long silence. A galaxy that finally learned to listen. A drone hovered near him. Final message? It asked, synthetic voice clipped but respectful. Elias thought for a moment. Then looked up at the empty sky. Let them fear the silence now. We've earned our rest. The drone zipped away, and Elias turned, disappearing into the ruins of a world no longer buried, but reborn. Final line. The galaxy came to rob a grave, but left with a ghost. One that smiled. And remembered everything.